Good evening. Sino-Japan relations have taken a turn for the worse after Japanese cabinet ministers and lawmakers paid their respects at a shrine in Tokyo that is seen as glorifying Japan's wartime past. Although Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stayed away from the temple, it was not enough to stop China from summoning the Japanese ambassador to lodge a strong complaint.
Thousands of people streamed into the Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo today, 68 years to the day when Japan surrendered, bringing the Second World War to a close. The Shinto temple honors Japan's war dead, including 14 convicted by the Allied powers as war criminals. Visits to the shrine by Japanese leaders are highly symbolic for Japan and highly provocative for neighboring countries who suffered the Japanese Imperial Army's wartime atrocities. They see it as a glorification of Japan's past militarism. Today, 2 Japanese cabinet ministers went to the shrine. Internal Affairs Minister Yoshitaka Shindo was one of the first to pay his respects to the war dead today. Cabinet colleague Keiji Furuya, who oversees public safety, also visited Yasukuni. They were followed by 89 lawmakers and the aides of another 101 legislators. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe did not visit the shrine, but sent a ritual offering. I asked my special aide to make the offering on my behalf with a feeling of gratitude and respect for those who fought and gave their precious lives for their country, Abe said. He slammed speculation on whether or not he'd visit the shrine, saying it should not be turned into a political or diplomatic issue. In what was seen as a further reflection of Abe's hawkish policies, during a memorial ceremony, he did not mention Japan's wartime aggression in Asia, something that has been included in speeches by his predecessors since 1994. And he miscalculated if he thought that by staying away, he would placate China and South Korea. Both were invaded by Japan before and during the Second World War, and both today have territorial disputes with Tokyo. China denounced Abe's ministers and lawmakers for making the pilgrimage to Yasukuni. Japan's ambassador in Beijing was summoned by Deputy Foreign Minister Liu Jianmin for a tongue lashing. The Foreign Ministry issued a statement complaining that the visit to the shrine had seriously hurt the feelings of people in China and other Asians. A memorial ceremony was held in the eastern mainland city of Nanjing to mark the anniversary of Japan's surrender. Wreaths were laid at a monument in tribute to the 300,000 people killed by Japanese troops when they seized the city in 1937. In Taipei, dozens of people protested outside Japan's de facto embassy. They focused their anger on Tokyo's claim to the Diaoyu Islands. Beijing and Taipei also say the East China Sea Islands belong to them. Japan is an aggressive country, this protester said. The Diaoyu Islands are ours. In Seoul, South Korean President Park Geun-hye urged Tokyo to apologize and offer compensation to women forced into becoming the wartime sex slaves of Japanese soldiers. I expect Japan to take responsible and sincere measures to alleviate the agony of those who are living in pain and are scarred by history, she said. Here in Hong Kong, several groups held protests outside the Japanese consulate today. Among them were Diaoyu activists who burned Japanese flags, rejecting Tokyo's territorial claims and demanding a proper apology as well as compensation for its wartime aggression.
Hong Kong has issued a black travel warning for Egypt after yesterday's bloody crackdown by security forces on anti-government protesters in Cairo. Facing international condemnation, the Egyptian government said 525 people died in the raids, but the opposition claims the real toll is more than 2,000. ATV's Anna Day reports.
This was the scene yesterday as Egyptian police with bulldozers moved in to destroy camps set up in Cairo by supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi. Officials have confirmed that hundreds of people were killed in the operation, which ended weeks of demonstrations against the new government that was sworn in following the coup that overthrew Morsi. However, Morsi's party, the Muslim Brotherhood, claims the death toll is more like 2,000, and the crackdown has been condemned internationally.
The world is watching what is happening in Cairo. We urge the government of Egypt and all parties in Egypt to refrain from violence and resolve their differences peacefully.
While recognizing that political clocks do not run backwards, the Secretary General also believes firmly that violence and incitement from any side are not the answers to the challenges Egypt faces.
This violence is not going to solve anything. What is required in Egypt is a genuine transition to a genuine democracy. That means compromise from all sides.
Cameron also paid tribute to Sky News cameraman Mick Dean, who was killed in the crackdown.
It's essential that cameramen are in places like Egypt, because otherwise none of us would know what is happening.
In Beijing, the Foreign Ministry urged all parties in Egypt to put the people's interests first, exercise maximum restraint to avoid more casualties, bridge differences through dialogue and negotiations, and restore order and stability. The Egyptian government has reinstated decades-old state of emergency laws that were enforced during Hosni Mubarak's presidency, when social unrest was unheard of and there was little crime. Interior Minister Mohammed Ibrahim said with the old laws back in place, there will no longer be any sit-ins anywhere in the country, no matter the sacrifice. He added that 43 of the people who were killed were police. Interim Prime Minister Hazem El-Bablawi said the emergency laws were reinstated as a last resort and promised they would only be enforced for a short time until the people catch their breath again. He said the government had no choice because of the actions of the Muslim Brotherhood. When freedom of expression is transformed into terrorizing the public and into carrying arms and blocking roads and violating public property and blocking the interests of the people, then it is not freedom of expression, he said. But there are already more protests springing up across the country, with clashes erupting between police and protesters in Ismailia and Morsi's hometown of Shakir.
Local news now. The government is expanding the school network for cross-border students born in Hong Kong to mainland parents. The plan is to open up 5 more districts to accommodate them and ease pressure on North District. ATV's Emily Seal reports.
The shortage of primary school places in North District has long been a headache for parents and authorities. That's because the rapid increase of cross-border students has forced many students in that district to study in schools far away from home. Education Secretary Yeung today spelled out a solution to the problem. Under the current system, the parents of 50% of cross-border students can choose their own school, while the remaining students are at the mercy of a central allocation system. All parents want to pick their own school, but when the 50% quota runs out, they have no choice. They can only pick one school net, and most of them opt for North District as well because of the proximity to the border. The school nets there cover Shengshui, Fanling, and Sha Tao Kok. But the education chief said today he wants to combine the North District school net with 5 others, Tuen Mun East and West, Yuen Long, Tin Shui Wai, and Tai Po, so that cross-border students can be distributed more evenly in 8 areas instead of 3.
And at this stage, we will ask those on the 8 school net schools to set aside a minimum of 2 places per class. So if one school would be running 4 classes for the primary one, that would mean about 8 places.
Yeung said schools outside these 8 nets are also welcome to join the list for cross-border students, or CBS in government speak.
We would further expand it by those schools which are not in the 8 nets. However, they have already been teaching CBS students and so already ready for those school bus arrangement, all this. And then we will encourage them to apply to be put on the list as well. So when you add the 2 together, that would give the CBS a lot more options and choices.
But the North District Primary School Heads Association doesn't think the modifications are effective. Chairman Chan Siu-hong said the only long-term solution is to increase school spaces within North District. He warned of chaos if cross-border children are sent to schools in Yuen Long or Tai Po, which are further away from home.
Police from the Mong Kok district will investigate the case of a primary school teacher at the center of a polarizing political debate. Al Pius Lam got into trouble for shouting abuse at police over their handling of a recent rally. That sparked clashes between pro and anti-police demonstrators and started a political row over police impartiality. The chief executive has been criticized for taking sides and ordering the Education Bureau to investigate the teacher. Now that police are using a squad that usually handles serious crimes, there's bound to be more controversy. Customs officers have arrested 7 people for misleading customers into buying dried seafood under a new law to protect consumers. Nearly 300 complaints have been received since the new law came into effect last month. Here's Annette.
Dried seafood delicacies are very popular in the Chinese diet, but the Customs and Excise Department has warned consumers to be extra careful when buying them. Officers arrested 7 women from 3 dried goods shops for cheating consumers under the amended Trade Descriptions Ordinance, which was introduced last month to stop misleading sales tactics. The arrested women were alleged to have intentionally hidden the real prices of dried seafood. According to the Customs Department, prices were quoted per catty instead of per tail, tricking buyers into thinking they were getting a good deal. The victims were mostly mainlanders and elderly people paying by credit card. They found that they were overcharged by as much as 10 times when they received their monthly statements.
Some customers, when receiving the slips from the storekeepers, they do not attend to how much they charge. They do not check the slip.
Yao said 290 complaints have been received since the new law took effect. The department has stepped up checks across the city in a crackdown on misleading sales tactics. It has also deployed staff at the Food Expo, which opened today at the Convention and Exhibition Centre in Wan Chai. Some stalls displayed banners and signs claiming to have the cheapest products, but without providing prices. This exhibitor said she has followed the new law and denied trying to mislead consumers. This stall operator said she doesn't understand the new ordinance. Some bargain hunters began lining up yesterday afternoon to snap up food products offered at discounts. Many were searching for their favorite items like these cans of abalone. Each normally costs more than $500, but they were sold for only $1 at the fair. The 5-day fair, which runs until Monday, features more than 1,500 exhibitors selling a wide range of food and tea from around the world, as well as traditional Chinese medicine.
A new study has found that 60% of the public want the government to take over the Fanling golf course for housing development. In a survey of 1,000 people conducted by Hong Kong University, most were in favor of the golf course being included in the government's plans to build new towns in the Northeast New Territories. More than 65% agreed that housing was more important than golf. The government is under public pressure to convert the golf course land for housing, but some are arguing that Hong Kong needs the golf course to stage international events. The Consumer Council has been looking at refrigerators and car seats for children and has some advice for buyers. ATV's Arthur Akila reports.
The Consumer Council carried out tests on 27 models of car seats for children. It performed frontal and side impact tests and evaluated them on a 5-point rating. None of the brands managed to achieve 5 points overall, but some were evaluated differently because they could be fitted to face either the front or the back of a car. In 2 cases, the seats scored a rating twice as high, depending on how they were fitted. The tests found that when it comes to crash protection, there's a wide disparity in the performance of car seats. Prices were just as varied, ranging from $899 to $6,580, and the more expensive ones were not necessarily better.
Because different manufacturers might have little different specification on how to install it. If they said it could be installed either the forward-facing or the backward-facing, then you are free to choose. But in general, our test shows that the rear-facing mode is safer, offers more protection.
Just to make sure you follow the manual closely. Otherwise, you think you're giving protection to your kids, but it's not because you wrongly installed the car seat.
The Consumer Council also tested 12 models of refrigerators with similar capacities to check their energy efficiency. They estimated the annual electricity costs varied from $290 to $585. But despite the variation, all the samples qualify for Grade 1 under the mandatory labeling scheme. The council says this is probably because of technological advances, which means the government's energy efficiency labeling system is no longer a good measure to judge the cost efficiency. Most refrigerators sold in Hong Kong carry a Grade 1 energy efficiency label, but the council says this isn't much help when trying to determine which refrigerator is best for reducing your electricity bill.
You should also take note of another figure in this energy label, which is the annual energy consumption in kilowatts per hour rating. Of course, this is the smaller the better, but you should also take reference to the exact size of the refrigerator that you are buying. Of course, the bigger the refrigerator, the higher will be the consumption. So maybe you should first choose the correct size for your home, and then compare a few models of similar sizes, and then take the most efficient energy consumption, the smallest energy consumption per year.
The Electrical and Mechanical Services Department is reviewing the energy efficiency grading of refrigerators on the market to better help consumers. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
Sports now. French tennis star Myriam Bartoli has dropped a bombshell by announcing her retirement. She is blaming persistent injuries for a decision to hang up her racket just 40 days after winning Wimbledon. It took her 13 years before Myriam Bartoli won her first major title, a surprise victory at Wimbledon. But just 40 days later, the 28-year-old French woman stunned the tennis world.
My body just really can't do it anymore. I've been already having a lot of injuries since the beginning of the year. I felt I really pushed my body through the limits to win this Wimbledon, and I just can't do it anymore. I mean, after the match, I could barely walk. My Achilles was hurting me so much.
Bartoli climbed to number 7, her highest world ranking after Wimbledon. She returned to the court after a break, but an early exit at the Cincinnati Masters this week might have been the last straw.
Even if mentally I would like to, my body just can't follow, you know, and there is nothing I can do about it. I mean, I really tried to keep playing, but I just can't anymore. And as much as I love the game, it's just time for me now to let my body rest. You know, I've been using it for so long and for so many years that it's time now.
Her Wimbledon victory was marred when a BBC commentator said she was never going to be a looker. That remark aired on radio sparked hundreds of complaints, and both the commentator and the station apologized to Bartoli. Finance news. Hong Kong stocks ended flat today. The Hang Seng Index lost just 1 point to close at 22,539 after ending on Tuesday at its highest since the end of May. Turnover was at $77 billion. Weakness in the local property sector offset an 11.6% surge in Lian Feng, as investors covered short bets, hoping the worst is over for the exporter. Let's take a look at the markets overseas, starting in the US. Big losses in the Dow Jones, which is trading by 184 points lower at the moment. Also losses in the Europe. The London FTSE is down by 108 points. The Frankfurt DAX is down by 81 points. In Paris, the CAC is trading 32 points lower. US dollar cross rates is 1.32 to the euro, 1.55 against the British pound, and it's 98.88 Japanese yen against the US dollar. Correct, it's 97.88 Japanese yen against the US dollar. Time to check your Mark 6 tickets. Tonight's the winning numbers: 10, 16, 22, 26, 31, 42, and the extra number is 23. The weather forecast for the next few days. Cloudy with showers that will be heavy at times tomorrow. Temperatures will range from 26 to 30 degrees. More of the same over the weekend and mainly cloudy with rain next week. Here's a look at the weather around the world. That's all the news for now. Thanks for watching ATV. I'm Raymond Yeung. Good night.
Coming up, Living Cultures.
Join ATV Mr. Asia Contest 2013.
So come join the ATV's Mr. Asia 2013 contest.
Conquer the world. You can be the man. Come and join ATV Mr. Asia Contest 2013. If you've never been to Shenzhen, we're sure you haven't seen all the fun. Leisure time. Ramble round the southern Guangdong Greenway tomorrow night at 8:30. To inherit the ancestral art, Kabuki. The 17-year-old boy never stops practicing. The responsibility falls on his shoulders, but nothing can shatter his faith. Documentary World, Living Cultures, tomorrow night at 9. He spent a lifetime eating the finest food of the world. For the first time ever, he will eat at an ordinary home. Pleasing him is tough. It might be a disaster. But it could also become a dining star. Michael Winner's Dining Stars, tomorrow night at 10.
It's just like heaven here, with beautiful flowers and trees, birds and nice people. But look over there. Accumulation and storage of water encourages mosquito breeding. Illegal gardening on slopes and digging of drains can erode the soil and cause landslides. Look at notices carefully. This is government land. Illegal cultivation is an offense liable to a fine of $50,000 and 6 months jail. For healthy living and public safety, don't excavate or cultivate illegally on government land.
Keeping them honest is what we do. So many questions out there. Someone has to ask. Face-to-face challenge. And all the hottest topics are only on Check In Current News, Newsline, every Sunday night at 8.
The following program contains scenes that may be disturbing to some viewers.
Music, legends, dances, and ancestral knowledge give meaning to our lives. They are the heritage of humanity. These oral cultures are fragile. If their voices are silenced, our world will lose much of its spirit. To save them, we must transmit them to our children.
Yeung is some 30 kilometers from the town of Đà Lạt in Vietnam. In this village of just 100 people, Ma Bio teaches the music of the gongs to her young niece Maluin. The two women are members of the Churu, one of 17 ethnic minorities forming the cultural space of the gongs. UNESCO has recognized this magnificent culture as a masterpiece of the intangible heritage of humanity. Ma Bio has started raising money. It's not easy. She must convince people that gongs are useful in a poor village whose culture is disappearing. And she needs an enormous sum, 20 million dong, nearly $1,500.